In this video, I'll be giving you guys the playing style deal breaker requirements for every position and every stat on the game in recruiting. So this will be for Dynasty Mode, and you can see, how I figured it out was I made a couple different dynasties and I simmed to the end of the year and try to find the comparisons and try to figure out what, stat do I need to keep my grade above a B minus in order to be able to recruit players and for my players not to leave. So you can see I started Dynasty. I will go into here. You will want to go over to my school and look at your grades. So this example for a quarterback, and I did UTEP at this one, you can see the passing yards per game is at 218 and it has a D minus grade. So what that means is if a player's deal breaker is playing style for quarterbacks, I will not be able to recruit that player, and my players that are on the roster, deal breakers playing style, will be at risk to transfer. So you can I'll just show you guys a quick overview of players on the recruiting thing of, who has deal breakers and how you can find it. So you can see these players have deal breakers, and boom, here's a perfect example. The number 28 quarterback in the nation has a deal breaker of playing style. We have a D minus, you need a B minus. So all the deal breakers on the game, you need a B minus. So now for the thresholds, what I was able to figure out. So first off is every dynasty is going to be different. So there is no set number, but I did find a ballpark number for the different positions. But what is going to matter is where you rank in your specific dynasty. So to start, I will show you guys Temple, and I will show you their passing yards. So for Temple, their passing yards is 274, and they have a C+. So with that, what I was able to find in multiple different dynasties, in order to get a B minus for every position in anything, you have to be top 56 for that specific category. So example is Temple is 58, so they have a C+. So now I will go to Texas State, and you can see they have 274 yards for Temple. So now when I go to Texas State, which is the 56th ranked team, they have 276 passing yards per game. So in this specific dynasty, 276 passing yards per game does get you a B minus because you will put you in the top 56. Now this does change in different dynasties, and sometimes it's not perfect. So example, I just showed you Temple, which I'll show you again, is at 274, and they are 58. So now I'll show you Maryland, who's 57, and they actually have less passing yards than Temple and are ranked higher than them. So you can see they only have 270 passing yards and are ranked 57, but they still do have a C+. So it's not perfect, but it usually is kind of around these numbers. And when I did different dynasties, I did find that the passing yards, usually if you get around 275 or higher, you should be able to be right around that C plus B minus range. And like I can show you Texas A&M, who's at 275, and they are going to be a C plus. And like I said, it does go by what your dynasty is. So if you have a bunch of users playing, then maybe the stats are inflated. So maybe you need a higher grade. But when I did Sims, it was around the 275 or higher to be able to get to that B minus. You can see, like I said, Texas A&M 275 is at a C plus. Now I will show you another dynasty just to give you an example of how it can change based on the dynasty. So now you can see I am in a complete different dynasty with Washington State instead of UTEP. And I'd like, again, end of the year, so you can see 4-8, so that's all 12 games. And I will go to my school, and I will go to look at New Mexico. So New Mexico, an example. So New Mexico is going to be at 274 passing yards, and they are going to be the 56th ranked team. So in the other one, Texas A&M was a C plus at 275, but in this one, New Mexico's at 274, and they got a B minus. And now you can see, like in the last one, Texas State was at 270 or 276, and in this one, Texas State is going to be at 271, and they are going to be the 57 ranked team at 271 passing yards. Now, like I said, it's not a perfect system. Sometimes the rankings are messed up. And like sometimes like you'll see a team that is like maybe they have 277 yards and it gets mixed up with they have someone else higher, just like I showed you guys with the Texas A&M and Temple being higher, Maryland being the next ranked in their 270. But like I said, in that ballpark. So you can see this is two different dynasties, And around that 275 mark will get you around a B minus. Now this could change in different dynasties and further out. Maybe stats are different; they get inflated. So don't be mad at me if you're in your dynasty like, yo, I got 275 passing yards and I didn't unlock. I got lower than a B minus. It is not a specific number. It is based on your dynasty. You need to be in the top 56. Now this goes for every category in the game besides sacks allowed, which I'll show you guys sacks allowed real quick, which will be your pass protect O lineman. So sacks allowed, it is the top 59. So I will need to look at, let me see, I'll go to UMass. So UMass is gonna be, you do have to, sometimes it glitches, so you can see like I had to like switch it back and forth, but so you can see UMass is at 22 sacks allowed and they are 60. So you can see on the right side the top schools. So 59 teams and above have the B minus. So 59 for sacks allowed. Everything else, it will be 56. So that is kind of the different thresholds based on the game. Now I will, like I said, I did go and find like a similarity to the different dynasties. So I just showed you guys passing yards at about 75-ish is where you want to be at to be able to try to get close to that B minus range to be not locked out. Now, throughout the different dynasties, which I'll show you guys for this one, I'll show you guys a West Virginia dynasty where I'm halfway through and the number is lower because it's halfway through. So the number will change throughout the year. By the end of the year, I found it was around 275. So let me go ahead and jump to that West Virginia dynasty to show you an example. All right, so now I'm in my West Virginia dynasty. You can see I'm 6-0, so we're about halfway through the season, and I will go into recruiting. I will go to my school, and then I will show you guys a Marshall team. So let me go to Marshall real quick and show you guys that they are going to be at a B minus, but they only have 267 passing yards. So, but they are going to be ranked. Let's see, Marshall right here. So they are going to be ranked 55 at 267. And like I said, this is halfway through the year, but like the same thing goes in all the dynasties. Top 56 get a B minus besides the sacks allowed where it's top 59. And you can see they got 267. And if I go to Memphis, they got 272 and Memphis is lower. So it's not perfect, but it's still in the same ballpark. So, and it's still, even though it's halfway through the year, it's still around that 270. Like I said, I would aim personally for 275 for passing yards. So I'm not going to jump around in all the different dynasties and try to explain this to you. Hopefully, guys, that made sense and you guys understand that everything is specific to your dynasty. You got to get top 56. But here are some of the thresholds that I found. So let me go ahead and jump into the other dynasty and I'll go through and show you kind of the close thresholds that I found. All right, so I am back in the Washington State dynasty. And so for rushing yards, I found that you do want to be definitely higher than like 105. Anywhere from like 105 and like 115 is kind of like the sweet spot. So you can see, obviously Washington State 81 is way below and it has a D. But I will go to Fresno and Florida State. So you'll see Florida State is going to be around, you do, like I said, you do have to go through and flick it here and back and forth. So you will have to be around like 107, and Florida State, you see, will have a B minus at 107. I will go to Fresno State as well, and just to show you guys, they're going to be at 108. But you can see Florida State is higher than them. I can also show you a lower team in Jack State. And like I said, you can see, so I first when I go to it, it still shows passing yards. So you want to just flick up or down, and then you might have to flick back. But you can see they're lower than Fresno State and Florida State, and they have more rushing yards per game. So I don't know what's like, if it's just a bug in the game, the stats get mixed up. But 113, and then I can show you guys Eastern Carolina, who is ranked 57, and show you where they're at. And boom, so you can see they come in at 105. And they are actually going to be lower than all those teams. So like I said, that 105, 115, kind of that range. Now in the Utah Dynasty, I'm not going to jump over to it, but the lowest team that I found was 113. So like in that one, the rushing yards was higher. So the computer teams and through simulation, the more teams ran the ball for more yards. So like I said, it still is going to be top 56 for those teams. And now just to show you guys, so that's rushing yards. For receiving, it's going to be receiving yards. Now, receiving yards is similar to the passing yards, but it does kind of get glitched out a little bit. So, like, I will show you guys, like, an Arkansas State, right? and you can see it's glitched out because it shows the 410. But when I go to quarterback, right, it shows they have 410 passing yards, so they do have a plus, and they're number 2 ranked. But when you go to receiving yards, I was on receiving back, it shows them 281, which they still do have a B minus, which is around that 270 mark or 275 mark still. But like, how do you have almost 130 less receiving yards with the passing yards? So I don't know what that glitch is. Most teams are kind of like that. But your receiving yards threshold is going to be around the same ballpark as passing yards, around that 275 and higher mark. So like I said, passing yards around 275 or more. You want to shoot for receiving yards 275 or more, around there. Rushing yards around that 275 mark, or not 275, 105 and higher though. You want to get higher, maybe that 115 mark for rushing yards. And then, so that's going to cover all your receivers are going to care about receiving yards. When you get to O-line, your pass protect O-line are going to care about sacks allowed. So now for sacks allowed, you are going to want to be at around about 20. So like I said, it shows 59 right here, and you can see Arkansas State allowed 20 sacks on the year, and they are at 57. So I will show you Illinois at 59. But like around that 20, 21 I found in the other one. But you want to be, you can see you go down and then go back up. And you can see they're at 21 and they're still in the B minus mark. So that is kind of around the threshold you want to be. And I will actually go to UMass and show you that they're going to be at 22 sacks allowed, and that's how they have the C plus. So like I said, it is going to be top 59, but if there's a tie or something, you might get bounced out, and you might have you could have, you know, the same as another team that maybe has a B minus, but you might just get bumped down just based on the game alone. So you can see when I go boom, pass protection, 22 sacks allowed, they're going to be 60. So they're going to have a C plus and be outside of that deal breaker threshold. So it is, like I said, based on your dynasty and based on being in the top 56 for all the other stats. The pass protector stats are top 59. So when you go to the other O linemen, these are going to be rushing yards. So those are going to be the same thresholds, like I said, about that 105, 115. And then let's go ahead and jump into the defense now. So defense is going to be sacks. So with sacks, you are going to want to be around 23, 24, which is about 2 per game. So you can see UMass right now on the season, they have 23 sacks, and that is going to get them the B minus in the sacks area. And they are, you know, it gives you a B minus. So now I'll go look at another team, and I will go to Arkansas State. And you can see, like I said, you got to go up and down. They have 22 sacks on the year, and they are at a C plus. So, like I said, around that 23, 24 sacks marks, almost 2 a game is where you want to be able to have that threshold for any speed rusher, power rusher, both linebackers and DNs. Now, I will show you an example of, like I said, so you've seen UMass had 23 sacks. They were at a B minus. Arkansas is going to have 23 sacks on the year, and they are the top C plus team. So even though they were tied, they didn't make the top 56, and they had the same amount of sacks. They end up having the same amount of sacks as Arizona and Alabama as well. So like you can see, go to Arizona, or they have 24, so UMass was higher. But I believe one of these teams, so I guess it was just UMass. So UMass made it in the 51 with 23 sacks, but Alabama and Arizona are ranked lower than UMass with 24. But Arkansas tied UMass, which I will go back to them just to show you guys. Which this is all can get kind of confusing because it does glitch out. But see, so they had 23 sacks. So did Arkansas. But UMass is ranked 51 and Arkansas is ranked 57 out of that B minus threshold. So like I said, around 23, 24 sacks though is where you want to aim. All right, so now I'll go to tackles for loss. And now this is going to be for your run stoppers, both D ends and D tackles, and also linebackers. So I will go to Southern Miss and show you guys their tackles for loss, and they are 45. They are ranked 56 with 45 tackles for loss. I found that in the other ones as well, around that 45 mark, higher, lower, you know, for the dynasties usually will get you that B minus. And I will show you Syracuse as well, since they're right here. And again, go through tackles for loss out of 45. And then I'll show you San Jose State, who is at 58. And tackles for loss, they have 44. They are going to be at a C plus. And I'll show you the 57 team, Georgia State as well, which they are going to be at 43, and somehow they're ranked higher than San Jose State. So I don't know why the game doesn't really rank it exactly how it should be. I don't know what caused that glitch, but again, in the different dynasties I found, tackles for loss, you do want to be around 45 and higher to be able to get that B- to not get locked out. And then lastly is interceptions. So I will go to Georgia Tech and show you guys interceptions, and this is going to be for any pass coverage and any secondary. So this is how you stay out of getting locked out from them. Around the 9 to 10 is where I found the sweet spot for interception. So close to 2 a game, or not close to 1 a game, a little bit less. I found in the 2 different dynasties I looked at. So you see Georgia Tech is at 9. I will go to Iowa, who is also at 9. And again, interceptions is the one I've seen the most tiebreakers for. You can see they have 9. They're at 55. But like when I go to Maryland and I go to Louisville, so let me go to Louisville. And I'll just go to secondary to show you it's the same interception. They're at 9, but they're at 58. So they are out, even though they have the same amount of interceptions as Georgia Tech, as Iowa, because what matters is being in the top 56, and for the game put them outside the top 56. Same, I will go to Maryland, and you see their interception is going to be 9 as well, and they're out of the range. But I did find in the different dynasties around 9 to 10 will give you a chance to get that B-. So I'll go back over to make it simpler for you guys. So the different threats. So what matters is being in the top 56 for most categories in your dynasty, your specific dynasty. And sacks allowed is top 59. For passing yards, usually like 275 yards plus should get you in that range. Maybe you're at a C+, but you should be able to get a B-. Rushing yards, about 105 is the low end. You probably want to get to like 115 to be safe. Rushing yards per game. Receiving yards is going to be around the same as passing yards, but sometimes it does glitch out. But you want to be around that 275-ish plus mark. Sacks allowed, you want to be around 21, 20 or less. It's 20 to be safe and less to be able to get that B- threshold. Sacks, you want to be around that 24, about 2 a game. And then tackles for loss around 45. And this is all for the season, by the way. So throughout the year, it is going to change, and it's per game. So maybe like 4 tackles for loss per game, 2 sacks per game. And then, sacks allowed is going to be less than 2 a game. And then interceptions around 9 to 10 interceptions on the season will get you that B-. And that is going to be at about 1 a game, a little bit less than 1 a game. So like I said, it does depend on your dynasty though. So I do want to emphasize that. So I do not want people in my comments mad about, oh, I did this and I still got this grade. And the game does bug out sometimes. I showed you guys the passing yards don't always match the receiving yards, and teams can be tied and be lower, and it does change throughout the dynasties. If you're in more users, the stats are probably going to be different. I don't know if you're in year 10, how much the stats are going to be different is going to matter. Also remember, the archetype of the player you're recruiting and the players on your team that might be at risk of transferring do matter and changes. So don't think all running backs are rushing yards, because if you're recruiting a receiving back, it does go by receiving yards. So don't think that, oh, I might be at rushing 150 yards per game and I'm trying to recruit this running back, so he should come. But if the running back is receiving yards and his deal breaker is playing style, he's going to care about receiving yards. So make sure you think about that. You can check out my other video of where I go over, each category and each position. So you can check that out. It's on my YouTube. I'll put it at the end of this video. But that's going to be it for this video. Let me know in the comments if this helped you, figure it out or not. I know it's a little bit confusing, which the game makes it confusing, especially with the different bugs. But make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see y'all in the next one.